Hey everybody, it's Carol. Here, let me put you on speaker view so you can see me better, or Angie if she's the one talking. And welcome to the Ask Me Anything call and the behind the scenes tour of Freelance Writers Den. And I am here with Angie Mansfield.
Hello, everyone.
Angie is our awesome Den moderator in chief. And so we have a lot to do today because we are like celebrating that Freelance Writers Den is open to the public. Yay! That's
Woo!
my Kermit the Frog clapping. And like, hey guys, if you have a camera and it works, if you can turn it on, I would love to know who I'm talking to and get to know people and get to see people. Um, and if you're just joining us, please do keep yourself muted so that we don't get a lot of chatter. We're going to ask questions through the chat to just keep this organized. And put your question, your top question, in the chat if you have not done that yet. And to help you discover how the Den helps members, we have several Den members that are going to be here to talk about how the Den helped them. And I'm going to introduce them shortly and give you a little behind the scenes screen share and tour here because the Den had a redesign recently. It's kind of pretty new and improved, and I want to show you some of what's going on. And before you ask, let me tell you what we think of as freelance writing. Angie, if that's you typing, it's coming through really loud. You should know.
Not me.
Hmm.
Anybody looks down and sees that their microphone is not muted, please do that.
Yeah, I'm just remuting. Um, we just keep muting as many times as it takes until people get the hang of staying muted. Oh, I see you, Sheila Mary. Awesome. But so before you ask questions about what is freelance writing, I want to just get to what we think of as what is freelance writing and what are the resources that we have and what is it that I have experience with and that I coach on and teach on and share resources about in the Den, because sometimes there's some confusion about what that is. We are your headquarters for building a like sustainable, reliable, full-time freelance writing income that pays all your bills. That is what we do. And the main way that happens is through nonfiction writing, either reported articles for publications or writing for businesses directly. We have over 300 hours of resources because we've been at this since 2011 on how you do that, all for the big membership price of 25 bucks for a month. Leave anytime. We don't care. Come, go. We are the all-you-can-eat resource for learning how to do this. What we don't do in Freelance Writers Den is help you publish your poetry, screenplays, personal essays, novels, that whole, I just want to get my story out there. I think it's awesome that you want to get your story out there, but I don't have any experience with any of the fiction areas, any of this other stuff. Personal essays tend to pay next to nothing, basically. And so they're not a part of Freelance Writers Den. So I just want to clear that up now so that we can move forward. I want to start by introducing you to the three Den members that are going to be on the call who you can ask questions of also, not just me and Angie. Sheila Mary is an expat who's living mostly in coastal Mexico. Are you there now, Sheila Mary? Yeah? Awesome. And she is hot off our most recent Den Boot Camp, which was Freelance Writers Pitch Clinic, where she got help from Workin' magazine editors and successfully pitched to parents. And that's like one of our awesome wins out of that class. Belinda Cianci is an experienced writer. She was a staff writer and she went out freelance in September, lined up 3 clients at really nice rates really quickly, talking 250, 300 bucks a blog post kind of people. And they were in all different industries, private aviation, office space scheduling, and corporate gifting. So I thought that was really interesting. And Paul Kavanaugh had been using our training on LinkedIn strategy and ended up getting a couple of really cool inbound leads through there. He's a freelance health writer who's based in Canada. And Paul, if you're on here, like wave at Angie or something so that she can spot you. Belinda is going to be hopping on the call a little bit later, we're told, so that's cool. And one of the biggest things Paul wrote me is I've learned in the Den how to see the value of my work to my clients and price it accordingly. I'm better at convincing myself not to undervalue my work. And I just want to say, like, yes, this is one of the big things we want to help you understand in the den, is that like what you do is really valuable to clients, and ignore all those people who want to pay you 20 bucks to do something, and come to the den and learn how to find the real clients who pay real money. There is a ton of opportunity out there. The market is not saturated, if you've heard that rumor. Not in our experience at all. So let me show you a little bit about what is going on behind the scenes in the den, because I just want you to know sort of what we're talking about, so it's not just sort of vague in your mind. And then we're just going to be taking questions. That's the whole call, is just ask, ask, ask. We have some questions that came in ahead of time that we're going to get to first, and then we're going to start on the ones that have come in on the live chat. And so let me get up my little tour here and get this sharing so that you all can see it. Hang on, let me make sure it's big enough. It covers up my other stuff. And the million other, tabs I have open. All right, this is what I want to share. Okay, I'm hoping you're now seeing the homepage of Freelance Writers Den, which hopefully is saying, oh, this event. But I think if I refresh it, it's going to say we're open. Because we're open. Let's see. Yeah, I just liked that typeface that Kira put together. So this is the den if you haven't been to our page. And once you join the den, the first stop you go to is our dashboard, and it's kind of your home base for anything you want to navigate to. It's got our ever popular orientation guide. If you're joining, please read it. It will help you so much to learn how to navigate our platform. You can go straight to our boot camps, which are our multi-session, highly popular focused trainings. Our resource library, where all those past trainings are searchable. The forums, which is another highly popular place, and more. And yeah, you can even learn about my coaching, which is getting ready to roll right now. So under the forums, we've divided the topics into 6 big categories, and then you pop into one of those depending on what it is you need. And this is what that looks like. This is the boot camps one. So this is the forums where people ask questions on all the 20 plus boot camps we've held through the years. And then inside of that is individual topics that people create, like this one from someone who was just reporting in on a gig that they got, and you have a chance to reply or start a topic of your own, and you have a chance to add a reply, and also to watch or subscribe your topic. This is like our thing that we most wish newbies would do, so that you know when you get a response. I believe watch means when you come in, you see a counter. Your counter will light up here where it says watching, subscribe. You'll see those light up and that's how you know somebody answered you. And so you don't have to check like 5,000 times, did they answer, did they answer? You can just wait for look at the counter. So this is our resource library. You can see it hasn't quite gotten the purple style yet, but what it does have is all the resources, and there's some handy categories. I think one of the questions someone had is, what's a good template for sending a pitch? That would be in our templates and examples area. And there's always a thing about what's been recently added. We just had a thing on creativity. I just added 8 steps to doubling your income handout, and my own little story of how I made 6 figures as a freelance writer, which has a complete teardown of like every client. We had a great thing on leveraging your bylines into better paying client work with one of my Den2X coaching grads, Emily O'Meara, and questions to ask before you hire a coach. So whatever we've had recently, oh yeah, this freelance mindset with Catherine Tate, that was awesome too. And value pricing, man, that was really popular. So that just gives you a sense of the kind of stuff we do. We produce a couple of new things in a typical month, we release a podcast and have a live event, and sometimes more. And so the biggest questions we used to get in the den is like, hey, I don't know where to get started. You got 300 hours of stuff. We get that. And that's why we have created learning tracks. So you can kind of tell us where you're at, who you are, and we'll give you a kind of custom made curriculum that's sequential. That will say, hey, you should probably take this and then that and then this other thing. So the other thing we have going on is a job board. I want to say, please do not join the den for the job board alone, because it's not that kind of job board. This is an elite, better quality job board. Our job board manager, Millie, who's awesome, culls the internet every week, and twice a week she puts up about a dozen of the best listings we can find. We don't accept low-paid jobs on this board, and it's kind of here to keep you from searching online for online job ads. Because most online job ads are junk, we want you to see how few good job ads there are, is one of the reasons I do the job board. And it's just meant as a time saver to keep you from trolling around online, because applying for online job ads is usually a waste of time. That is why we do this. We call it the junk-free job board. And you can also put a writer profile on here. And it's different from your main profile, but it's the one that is facing customers. So you can kind of sculpt it up for what you would like to tell prospects. So you can see some of our member profiles going on there. Hint to folks who don't have a picture up, put your picture. So we have a page for our live events. It's under resources. You can see our event calendar, and like you can see this event. And we have an epic business writing craft podcast coming up next week, which I'm super excited about. And also have a thing for mid-career writers only next week that I'll be doing, how freelance writers double their income. It's something Angie and I have put on before, and I love doing that event because it's super helpful for mid-career writers. I'm just muting folks out. Angie, are you seeing me in the window?
Yep, I see
Okay.
you.
Okay, cool. All right, so that's what we've got. I just wanted everyone to have a chance to see what is going on there, because I feel like it's, it's behind a firewall. It's hard to imagine what do we do all day? How is it that we are helping people, week after week, year after year here? Why do we have 14 members, 1,400 members? Mental typo there. 1,400 members and growing. I think a year ago it was 1,000, so it's really growing. And what that means is other pro writers whose brains you can pick. So I think we're up to questions. So I'm going to let Angie start feeding them over. Angie is going to organize. If you post in chat, don't worry, she's seeing it, she's getting it. We're going to go to the ones we got up front. Oh, before we dive into questions, I want to answer a few questions about Freelance Writers Den, so that we don't have to spend time on that and we can get straight to the how to be a freelance writer questions. We are open for new members right now. We are only open twice a year to the general public for a few days each time. This is our last open until summer of 2020. So if you need the new year to be the year you are serious about this and you're doing this, you're going to want to hop in now. And if you know someone who needs this, please feel free to share it around. We're wide open for the next few days. And also, if you're like, well, I don't know if I'll like it, it has a 7-day guarantee. You totally don't have to know if you're going to like it. Sign up, come in, consume a thing, come to a podcast, ask some questions, and if you think it's not a fit for what you're needing, we'll just refund you. We don't want people in this that don't want to be here and that it isn't for them. So we only want the folks who are like, this is my place. So yeah. So I think that's what I wanted to say. And yeah, there's no contract or obligation. You can come for 1 month and then leave. It's cool. though, you know, you might be on a waiting list to get back in, but it's not like you must commit to a year or anything like that. It's totally wide open. We are a flexible resource, and we're here to answer questions, and we survey members about what they need to learn and put on boot camps that they tell us to, and, you know, we're here to give people what they need to grow their income. I just wake up in the morning to get, Stephen is like, yes. I just wake up in the morning to see, you know, posts on the forums that are like, I got my dream client, you know, I signed in my first proposal, you know, just that is what gets me out of bed, honestly. All right, let's do questions.
Sorry, still had myself muted.
Yeah.
All right, so Michael said, does freelance writing sometimes entail photography? I'd like to pitch National Geographic, which runs photos with its features. Do I take the pictures myself, or do I find professional help with those? I have to pitch the magazine first, right?
Yes, you would have to pitch the magazine first here, but the big thing I want to say is if you are a brand new freelance writer pitching National Geographic, one of the largest circulation and most competitive travel magazines there is probably not going to be real productive. I mean, I would hesitate to pitch them, and I have a huge portfolio, but I don't have a lot of travel. The thing to know, does freelance writing sometimes entail photography? The answer to that question is yes. Sometimes they will say, hey, could you take a few shots while you're out interviewing that guy? But National Geographic is not one of the publications that's going to say that. They send professional photographers out, often in a team with the reporter, if you're reporting a major story for them. You are not going to be the photographer unless you are a very accomplished professional photographer for that particular magazine. But you know, I had a staff writing job where they issued me a camera and said, hey, yeah, take pictures when you're out, you know, and taught me some basics, and like that was good enough photography for them. And, you know, these days it's amazing what we get done on our iPhones. But it's just a question to ask the place you're pitching if they would like you to take photos also. Increasingly, I find the answer is no, because there's just so much available quality, cheap stock photography out there that they can get a really, really quality shot, and, you know, rather than trusting a writer to try and be their photographer. So.
Andrea said, I have a full-time job and 2 kids. If I start earning a freelance income, I really need it to be enough to replace a $40,000 a year income. I need to cover the cost of healthcare for at least 4 of the 5 of us, and potentially the medication costs for my husband. I don't have the luxury of working my way up slowly over the years. I need to make it pay within the year I launch. So what are your suggestions?
Yeah, I love this question because I've been where you are. Um, Not that I needed to replace my own income, but I needed to replace my husband's income. I was going along, earning my 40, 50K, happy as could be as a freelance writer, and my husband developed a seizure disorder, and I needed to replace his income also. And the thing about switching out of full-time into freelance and needing the income to be there, there's basically only about 3 ways to do this. The first is you're going to build a 40K side income while you work, and then you're going to quit. And the income is already there. And that is exactly the thing my blog editor, Evan Jensen, did. He worked full-time and has 3 kids, and he built up his freelance until it was equivalent, and then he quit. So that would be the like least risk taking strategy. The other one I'd say is to freelance part-time, start building your business, start making sure this is for you and you can do it, and you get ongoing contracts and you have some sense of security. I would think, you know, I'd like to feel like I know where at least 10 or 20K of that is when I quit would be pretty reassuring. You know, so my thing was, yeah, I also didn't have a year to ramp up to replace my income. Like, I basically needed to do it pretty immediately. And I think there's a lot of techniques we teach in the den about what type of clients to look for. That you are going to need to have really ongoing work kind of clients. It's not going to be little one-off, I read an article here and there. um, so those are the clients you've got to target, and mostly what it's going to take is a really serious commitment, and you're going to have to start figuring out where your blocks of time are that you can do this in. I want to say I don't recommend just quitting your job and going, okay, now I'm going to ram a 40K income in this year if you have not freelanced at all. Um, I honestly wouldn't recommend you do that because, some people get into freelancing and they realize it's not for them. The hustling, the serving many different client masters, the thrill of the chase, the sending of the proposals. Some of us just freaking love it. We love it. We love the whole everything about it. And some people who are used to sucking on that corporate tit and only having to do their one little job and never having to market themselves and stuff, it ends up not being for them, and they end up kind of failing it and not doing it. Um, so I wouldn't want to put you in that position, especially if you have a husband with a condition. I'd want to see you really exploring it. And obviously, the other answer on how you ramp rapidly is be a freelance writer stand member and use the resources and ask questions and make sure you get the support you need to make sure that you're on track and not wasting time down, rabbit holes that aren't going to pay off for you. And, just want to say you can do this. You can definitely do it. 40K is not an entirely unreasonable income. But if you look at statistically what a lot of writers earn, we see a lot of writers who don't seem to earn more than about 20, and it's because they're not doing the business in an intentional way. So
Wendy said, my challenge boils down to information overload. How can I build a website, blog every day, pitch stories every day, track the news and magazines for ideas, keep up with the literary world, track business expenses and income, and actually write something? How can I be all of every team, especially when there's no accepted best practice for a regular day, and I have to work 2 or 3 systems to find out what is the best fit for me?
yeah, I kind of feel like this is everybody's question. There's so much information out there about freelance writing, and there's so many things you could be doing in each moment of each day with your time to build your freelance writing business. The thing is that you don't have to do many of these things. You don't have to blog every day. Like, nobody's been blogging every day for about a decade now. That isn't even a best practice. And I guess my first question is, why are you even running a blog of your own? Um, because we find a lot of people waste a lot of time running a blog of their own that they think will be a marketing tool for them, but it's really not happening. And so, in the den, we would look at what all you're doing and help you prioritize, because yeah, you can't do all the things. It's true that there is not one magical foolproof system that I can tell you just do this and it's all going to work out. There is definitely some trial and error in being a freelance writer. We try initiatives and see how they roll, and no one can do that for you. But I'd say we have a Den boot camp that's Get Your First Freelance Writing Jobs, and it will walk you through helping to niche your business, focus your business, position your business. And once we know who we are going to talk to, who is the client we're talking to, a lot of puzzle pieces fall into place that answer questions like, oh, do I need to be becoming an Instagram influencer? Is that how I would reach my clients? If you do consumer lifestyle brands, maybe the answer is yes. Or do I need to send direct mail, or do I need to do in-person networking? We will help you come up with what seems like the most likely game plan. The other thing I want to say is there's so much information online, and I saw someone else typing, I saw some other coach recommended X and Y. Here's a big thing I want to tell you about coaches on the internet. I have been a freelance writer for more than 20 years. I have freelanced through 2 economic downturns. I have freelanced for Fortune 500 companies and national magazines. And there are a whole lot of people putting themselves out there as a coach on the internet who can't say yes to any of the things I just said. There are several, I don't want to get into name naming, but there are several who freelanced for 6 months before they started putting themselves out as a coach and telling you they know all about it. So you really want to carefully read about pages. And the thing about Freelance Writers Den is what you get is a group of people who have been all doing this a long time. Our moderators are like me and my coaching grads who earn six figures. And people who've been around it in a long time really know what's what. And you can unsubscribe to a million newsletters and just follow our system. And it's been helping people for 8 years really reliably. So at some point you have to end the information overload and listening to everybody's advice about everything, and find someone you believe in and you trust and listen to what they say and do it. And they will hold your hand and work you out. And, I think we can save you a lot of the trial and error. We can't get it to zero, but we can really cut it down and help you see what you don't need to spend time on in your day, like blogging every day.
Zena said, my question is about first client meetings after they've expressed interest and we set up a call. I get super nervous and uncomfortable, and I feel like I do a bad job of presenting myself. The biggest problem is when I don't have experience in their field or I don't have a writing sample of the type the client is looking for. Is there some trick I'm missing to feeling comfortable on these calls?
The thing is, you don't have to feel comfortable. You just have to look like you feel comfortable. Regular listeners in the den will know that I have a persona I take to client meetings that's known as Brilliant Carol. Brilliant Carol is not nervous at all to meet new clients. She's not worried about whether I'm getting this gig or not. She is like projecting love and positivity and is just thrilled to meet you and is going to listen really carefully to you so you really feel heard. And I'm just going to let you talk about your challenges, and then I'm going to ask like 2-3 questions that help us define a project. And if I don't get that gig, I'm going to say that was good practice taking a client meeting. And that's true for all of us. Taking a client meeting is never a waste of time. They're all good practice, taking client meetings. And the more you do it, the more comfortable you do feel internally. It is totally a fake it till you make it situation. But we have a Freelance Writers Den bootcamp called Close the Sale that walks you through managing first client meetings and emerging from them in 30 minutes or less, with either you bid them and you're hired and you have a first project and you're off to get a contract or draw one up and send it to them, or that you're sending them a proposal the next day, depending on the scenario. And literally, like, everything I know has been packed into that boot camp, and it has a ton about what to do in every possible things are going wrong scenario in a client meeting. They're nasty, they're disorganized, they want to go on and on, how to sort of tackle every issue that comes up in these first client meetings. But one of the things Zena said is, I think I may have edited it down, but she said, I don't like these calls as much as when I'm meeting in person. And what I want to say, Zena, is take your calls on Zoom or Skype and physically meet, visually be with the people. I do that. People have to really beg me if they want it to only be a phone call. I'm strongly trying to talk them into getting on Zoom with me, because your chances of bonding with them, of really making that connection where they hang up and they go, yeah, that's the person I want to work with. I like them on a personal level. I want to work with them, is just so much higher. So I'm a huge fan, if you can't get in person, of doing the video call.
I will just add to all of that I have anxiety, and I've been doing this for a decade, and you just have to get past that. And like Carol said, be a different person if you have to when it comes to those meetings.
Yeah, after Brilliant Carol is done with the client meeting, I need to like take a shower and a nap, and like I'm so exhausted because I'm just projecting out all this positive energy, is going the whole time, and it's like I'm totally worn out, and that's not like how I naturally am all day and stuff. It's really to me about partly bringing like a burst of like your best self, like your Oprah, being your best self. And I think people get nervous in client meetings because they think they need to know a lot of stuff, and you don't. I come to ask questions. Pros ask tons of questions in these meetings. Do not think asking questions is dumb. It's not. I ask so many freaking questions. So still. All right,
Uh,
2 more questions and then we're up to the live stuff.
okay, can you do a mute again? Because we're getting some noise.
Sure thing. We just mute as many times as we have to. Okay.
All right. So Lynn asked, when article submission instructions say to send in 2 to 3 clips, does that mean they want actual pieces of previously written articles, or do they want links to those published articles?
The answer is I don't know, because I don't know who you're talking about. There are still some old school magazines who are expecting you to mail stuff to them. And I did that with Parade. They want their first contact to be you may physically mail them a package of your stuff. And then she emailed me back and I was like, why did we do that? But I think they do it because it's a personality test to see if you can follow instructions, and it really cuts the herd. If you have to physically go mail something, it cuts down the number of submissions. So a lot of super competitive magazines do that. But in general, I want to say at over 90% of the time, you're going to be sending them links to those clips. You don't want to attach anything if you don't know to an email you're sending to a new contact, because a lot of places will just screen that out, and because it will go in spam in a lot of places. It'll just, they won't get it. So don't be attaching your resume and this and that and clips, and ask if you can send them first, and or give them links or tell them it's on your portfolio or whatever. I can't think of the last time I actually sent 2 or 3 clips to someone. I think I just say, like, go look at my portfolio. Don't read writer's guidelines of magazines too closely, because Linda Formicelli did a poll of them, and like they didn't know what was in their writer's guidelines.
Oh, wow.
Most of them, yeah, they were like, oh, it says that. They didn't know. So they tend to get put on a shelf, and 5 years later they reread. I just have to give kudos to Stephen, who's juggling this baby and watching. I love when we have baby and pet guests, so you rock for doing that. Anyway.
Patty said, I may have missed this, but how do I find out how much a publication pays freelancers if it's not listed in Writer's Market, or who pays writers or the publication's guidelines?
My other theories, Patty, would be call up the publication and ask them. And ask your Freelance Writers Den network, or ask in a place on Facebook like Binders Full of Freelance Writers, if anybody is familiar with the publication and what they pay. You can also Google, does such and such publication pay, type of thing, or that publication name sucks. Sometimes we'll bring up the answer you're looking for if their pay is very low. So, and sometimes you just don't know. You pitch them and you find out, if you think it's a publication you want to be in. If you are a new, if you're a new writer, don't be that worried about what publications pay. Just worry about getting the clips, until you have a dozen. It's really kind of not about the money, but about good clips. Oh, Belinda says she is driving around with her triplets in the car. Thank you for doing this, Belinda. So we
Not
get
actually driving. Don't
you're
worry.
not driving. Okay,
No,
cool.
we're sitting in the car and I'm telling them to like be calm and quiet. And it's,
Oh my God, you're amazing. So
yeah.
I just want to remind people that, yeah, if you have a question for Belinda or for anybody, Belinda, if you can mute back out, that'd be awesome. If you have questions for Sheila Mary or Belinda or Paul about the den and about using the resources and what they did and how it worked, please post them.
In the meantime, Jackie said, how do you get out of the content mill mentality?
Don't hang around their chat boards. Stop looking at online dashboards of content mill offers. We have run a boot camp called Escape the Content Mills that deals with us to some extent. I think a lot of people who are stuck in content mills and have the content mill mentality have fear issues about being worthy of actually getting real clients. And we have a fear boot camp. It's called Write Big, a fear busting boot camp. And I'd say if you feel like you just don't believe, if you're one of those people I see all the time on Facebook saying, I hear Carol saying she's getting $1,000 for an article. That's just wrong. Articles should never be more than $75. I mean, that's a lot. You know, if you've got that kind of problem going on in your head where you don't understand what professional rates are and that you deserve them, I think the Fear Boot Camp is a really good place to go. And, you know, in my coaching program for mid-career writers, we do something called Mindset Reset, where we actually have you like kind of write down these, you know, I just don't think, you know, real clients would hire me. And then you recast them into something positive. There are a million clients out there. And, you know, I can tell you, if you're writing for a content mill, like you are a better writer than 95% of all small business owners. You know, there's no reason why you couldn't at least move up to the sort of 7,500 buck a blog post type small business type of thing. You know, go to your local chamber and pull all the brochures and read them, and you will see that there's just a lot of demand for your services. Oh, I see Larry sent me a question privately. It wasn't sent to everyone. It was actually
Okay.
the first question. He's an established freelance writer, started in 2012 in outdoor and preparedness, and he's been making like $250 an article, and now he's getting like 400, 500 an article, and he needs to fund his retirement in a few years. And yeah, hands up, how many, I'm going to go to the main screen. Hands up, how many people on this call don't have a retirement account? No retirement account. So incredibly common. It's so incredibly common. It's really, really terrifying to me. So kind of a campaign I'm on. Like, you need to understand that succeeding as a freelance writer is not just barely getting your bills paid this month. You need money for sick time, for retiring, for going on vacation. You need to earn more. You need to charge more. Charge more. You deserve it. So Steve's question about that funding that retirement fund was, I want to get into the $1,000 an article arena that you talk about. And I'd like your advice on how to move into higher paying markets. Well, the first thing is, if you want to get if you feel you're a buck a word writer at this point, stop writing for 50-cent a word markets. You're going to need to replace and drop those clients. You need to understand they're not for you anymore because you don't want to earn at that rate anymore. And I'm always very risk averse, so I would always find the next client and then drop the other one. You know, I'm not telling anybody to like fire all your clients and have no money. No, please don't do that. The thing is, most of the $1,000 articles out there are not in the publications you're thinking about. They're in custom publications like, you know, Costco Connection type, you know, magazines that companies put out, hospitals put out, and they're in trade magazines in niches that are not that easy to write about. They have a hard time getting people, you know. So if you're in like outdoor, it would be like for outdoor retail managers would be your trade pub, that kind of place. And also just taking your article skills and turning it into stuff where you do case studies and white papers, and you ghost ebooks for business owners and books, and writing more directly for businesses is going to be the easiest route to that, because the number of $1,000 articles out there in the print magazine world is shrinking. We all know that. So that's what I'd have to say. All right, back to the ones that went to everyone.
Heather said, how do you keep in touch with clients who may have work in the future? I'm guessing this means that you reached out to a client and they don't have work right now.
Yeah, they said, yeah, we'll keep your name on file. Well, lots of ways. The way I do it is I never follow up. I don't do any follow up because I'm willing to do lots of marketing. So I just do more marketing. I'm just like, okay, yeah, call me, whatever, and I'm on to the next person. If you want to be the kind of person who does follow up, then you need to create a follow up system. Lots of people do it, and some people swear by it and say they get tons of clients on those re-asks, and it's a totally okay thing to do. And, you know, how you do it is kind of up to you. I know people who start stalking them on LinkedIn and connect with them and share their stuff, and kind of just stay in their sites, and other people who might send them an email every other week with, you know, a useful article they might use, or just like, wow, this controversy on our industry made me think of you. What do you think about this? You know, or just someone who sets up, you know, a constant contact thing where every 2 weeks it like says, hey, I'm just checking back in, you know, wondering if now's a good time. It's really up to you. What I say is find a follow-up approach that is in your comfort zone, that you feel comfortable doing. I don't feel comfortable with the dynamic of following up because I think it feels really desperate and sad. It's just like, oh my God, did you get my thing? Do you want to hire me now? What about now? Is now a good time? I feel like I don't like what it does to my head. You know, I feel like it feels desperate to me. So I don't do it. I just do more. Once you know how to do marketing, it's like if you send out enough leads, you get clients. So, you know, I just feel like next, you know, and sometimes they do circle back and call me. If I want them bad, I'm probably going to connect with them on LinkedIn and stalk them and be around them and kind of just try to keep my name in front of them, be in groups they're in on LinkedIn and stuff.
Tiffany said, what's the best way to keep your business going after you've had a baby? I ended up letting go all of my clients at the beginning of May. I'm starting from scratch in January, partly because I'm changing my niche. I do have a handful of former clients who'd love to work with me again. I want to grow my business, but I'm afraid it'll all fall apart again the next time we add to our family.
I never dropped all my clients when I had a baby. I kept working. I like never had any time off. Um, I mean, I scaled back, you know, and I wasn't earning a ton at the time. Maybe I was bringing in $2,000 a month or something. It wasn't huge income when I had just had a baby, but I would start by going back to all your past clients and checking in with them. Have those editors moved to a new place? Do they need help? Can they refer you? Start reactivating your network and letting people know you're back. The baby's, you know, under control now and I'm ready to work. And you need to start marketing your business, to look at your portfolio. And, you know, the easiest way to restart is to look at what you have expertise in and pitch the clients who want that. You know, clients like the clients you used to have. It's the fastest way to get going again.
Mike said, how do you start from scratch if you think you're a decent writer, but you have no professional feedback and you don't know how to proceed?
Join the Den and post a sample in our peer feedback forum and get some feedback, and take some of our writing craft resources and check out some of our classes on, you know, how to write a sales page, how to write an email for, you know, in email marketing and stuff, and start learning specific types of craft that pay well. I think is, you know, I think there's a real shift from sort of I'm writing in my journal and people always told me I was a good writer to I understand the freelance writing marketplace and what types of things people buy and pay well for in the freelance marketplace. And that's what you learn in the Den, is because at this point we have a boot camp for practically everything you can think of, except direct response copywriting, which I don't believe is a real niche anymore. And sorry, AWAI. And the technical writing, if you aren't already a coder. Those are like, that's my dream class, is if someone can teach us that. But we, you know, all the pretty much business writing basics and article and blog post writing basics. We have 2 classes on blogging for clients. And yeah, start getting some feedback. In the Den, you can grab an accountability buddy and then, you know, start getting feedback from them, start getting accountability. So the interesting thing to me is you're reading off a list of questions that's different from the list I see. I don't know if you came on later, but like I have one from Stephen that says, do my samples have to be published? That's like way up at the top. So I'm thinking it's like we have different views here. And the answer to that, Stephen, is I hate when people say, do I have to do X or Y? Or is it okay if I do X or Y? So the big first thing we want everyone to know, like if you don't join the Den, I don't care. If I never talk to you again, please know that you don't need my or any other experts' permission to do anything in your freelance business. It's your freelance business to run, and everyone does this differently. And however, whatever you do is okay. The sky will not fall. You will not, there's nothing you can do except lie and make things up that will end your career. Okay, as long as you are not, doing anything that you're hiding something or you're lying about something, you're going to be okay. There's no universal editor and marketing manager network that alerts everybody to not hire you. That doesn't happen. So you can make mistakes in this business. So do my samples have to be published? No. There's nothing that has to happen in freelance writing. You might strike up a conversation with somebody in a coffee shop and say you're a writer, and they might say, awesome, could you write my website? I've actually had this kind of thing happen where they asked for no clips, did not want to know anything about me. They were like, you can do that, go, do it. If you only have samples that are not published, those are the samples you have now, and your job is to get something published somewhere with a actual, editorial process or a marketing manager who approves it, where you can get a testimonial and referrals and start building your business. But if all you have is the stuff you wrote on your own blog, that is what you have right now. Use it. All right, so what do you have next?
I am on Craig, who said, I've been a freelance sports writer for quite a while, but in recent years, I've been blindsided by newspaper cost-cutting measures that have eliminated my sources of income. So now I'm wondering if I should stay in sports or perhaps pursue copywriting.
Well, they aren't mutually exclusive, because every sports franchise and organization and tour and event has copywriters. So it would seem like the obvious transition would be to look at doing copywriting in the industry. And I actually know someone who has done that, like for NASCAR. And yeah, I know what's going on with sports because my husband used to be a sports photographer for a local paper. And yeah, that's not a living anymore. Yeah, writing anything really for daily papers as a freelancer is rarely a living anymore. And we just have to accept that newspapers are going through a period of incredible transformation. And I think we're gonna all be okay in the end. But I think our need for speaking truth to power will not go away, and it's all gonna come out in the end. But right now is not a great time. Especially for something like, say, getting paid for local sports coverage, especially with the bills that are arising that say you can only do a column 39 times in a year, not 52 in California and New Jersey and New York. I guess I think of that as like just another opportunity to tell yourself that this isn't a living, that sort of thing isn't a living. It's time to go out and find yourself, better paying clients. And there are sports magazines. There are a lot of sports portals, but there are also sports equipment makers and, all the other types of clients that I mentioned earlier. And then there's, retooling your ability to tell a story into other niches. So it's kind of up to you, the direction on that. So I don't know, we have like totally different lists. Brittany's question is it okay to market yourself as a specific niche writer, but you're in the process of gaining experience? Brittany, we are all in the process of gaining experience. There's no one who's like, oh, I know everything I need. That's not a thing. So yeah, I mean, if we couldn't write in sort of developing niches for us, like none of us would ever have a niche and we could never grow this. So yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's how I coach everyone, is like, what are the niches you want to write in? Know that every LinkedIn profile is aspirational. That tagline isn't saying who they are now. It's saying who they want to be if they're smart. So yes, join in.
So my next question is from, I think it's Tyrell. The username has Tyrell Co, but I think it's Tyrell.
Okay.
It says, I would love to know an average time from start to regular income for a Den member, not just Carol.
I'd love to know that too. I'm afraid we don't compel members to disclose their income. And the big thing about freelance writing is that every journey is so different. Some people just want to start a little side income in freelancing, and other people live in a place where they want to earn 20 a year and like that would be amazing for them, and others are like, I need to be a six-figure writer. And like, what is a full-time income? Even what is success is different for every writer. So I can't tell you that. I can tell you that the people come on and start freaking executing. They are on, they are asking questions, they are consuming boot camps, they are then going out and doing what those boot camps tell them to do out in the marketplace. They find clients and they make money. That's what we know. The people who hide in the background and they never do anything and they never use it and they just say, oh yeah, someday I'm going to use this. Yeah, not a lot happens.
Mike says, what is the quality of freelance jobs you can find on sites like Upwork?
Really? Just look at the shaking heads that are happening around. Any, Mike, any site that aggregates tens of thousands of writers together and pits them against each other in a race to the bottom on price, where you have to bid against many, many writers and they're going to get like 300 submissions, is not a good place for us to be by definition. There is no platform that exists where writers are bidding against each other that you want to be on, that is going to yield great clients and great jobs for you. Because first of all, good clients, so there are two types of clients in freelance writing. Let's just talk about this for a minute. There are commodity clients and there are value clients. Commodity clients are in large part what you're going to find on Upwork. Content to them is like hamburgers. They're like a hamburger store. They just need lots of hamburgers. They don't care about the quality of the hamburgers. They just need to stamp them out. And that's why they don't care what they pay, is because their content is not important to them. They've just heard, they just know it could help their SEO and like they have a vague sense it would be good to have. And they just want to stuff a lot of it on their site and they think that's going to make them win. And they're not good clients for us. They're good clients for hobbyists who just like to write and think it's fun and, oh, they made some movie money. Our clients are value clients. They understand that the writing we do makes them money, keeps their subscribers subscribing, that we are vital to their business and that we can make them more money. And then they want the best writer. They're not on Upwork saying, oh, let's see how low we can get somebody. They want, the conversations I have with clients when I get to like, what's your budget for this? What are you thinking about paying? They're like, we don't care. We just need the right writer. We think you are the writer for this. That's where you want to get to. And in the Den, we have great boot camps like Freelance Marketing Mastery with Joshua Boswell, which we just did earlier this year, that walk you through how to understand who that client is, how to find them, what to say to them, how to get hired by them. So I'd say that's a huge passion of mine, is getting people out of places like Upwork and into finding your own clients, being in control of your own business. Because yeah, the thing about being on Upwork or Clearvoice or Fiverr or People Per Hour, or all these places, is that they could ban you any day for any random reason, or you get a bad rating. All these ones that have these crazy rating systems that are totally arbitrary. And then your career is over. Like, is that what you want? No. You have to be in charge of your own place. So my one says, Mike says, how crucial is it for a new freelance writer to have a website and portfolio? It's not super crucial the minute you get started. We actually, in our Get Your First Freelance Writing Jobs, we coach people through just setting up your LinkedIn to kind of be your portfolio and be your place online where people can find you for a start. Because writer websites cost more, it's complicated, though we have a affordable solution in the Den that I made my designer make for us. But remember, there's no rules. Like, there's nothing you have to do. I have a friend who still doesn't have a writer website, a really high earning writer. So Steven said, how do I find a one-on-one coach or mentor? I actually just posted this on LinkedIn if you're talking about newbies, and I discovered that one of our Den moderators, Mandy Ellis, who's one of my coaching graduates, has been coaching newbies for ASJA and the Journalism Association, and is now doing it solo. So email me after and I can connect you with her if you are a newbie looking for a coach, because I do not coach newbies anymore. I do only one program, and it is for freelance writers who already have clients, Ideally, you're already earning 20K a year or so, and you're looking to double it. But we have a follow along level for like $5,000 to $19,000 earner kind of people. And Angie will throw the link into chat for the Freelance Writers Den 2X Income Accelerator. It's open right now also, so that's why my head's blowing off, because the den's open and I'm getting my coaching students. That class officially starts in January, but early birds are already getting in. If you are that person, if you're a struggling mid-career writer, apply and let's talk about that. We do a lot of free pre-coaching and stuff. Let me give you some free stuff. But to answer the bigger question, Stephen, of how you find a coach, is you find someone you believe their stuff and you think they're legit and they have the experience you want, and they do coaching. You know, don't get coaching from somebody you met 5 minutes ago. It should be someone you know well and who actually has a lot of experience as a freelance writer. It's been a year. All right, what's your question that you have? This is fascinating how we have all different ones.
Yeah, I'm not sure how this is happening.
I know, it's really weird. Alternative universes.
I guess. Carla said, I would love to meet other health writers. Are there subgroups within the Freelance Writers Den?
You know, we haven't done it by niche like that, but we do have the Accountability Buddies Forum, and you are certainly free to form a group within the Den of Health Writers if you all want to be a accountability group instead of accountability just one buddy. And we have definitely had people do that and, you know, form little subgroups. We do that a lot in the coaching in Den 2X Income Accelerator. But you could definitely look for a buddy who's also a health writer. And, you know, beyond that, I feel like there's a health or medical writers association, like a national association, not to recommend other people's resources, but sure. So my question is from Kiki. I'm having trouble making experience count when applying for jobs. How can I compete with someone coming from a full-time desk? I don't know what that means, but I guess you mean like people who have been staffers or are currently staffers. The key here is to stop applying for jobs. Jobs you apply for are a waste of your time. The odds that you will get that job are like 1 in 300. Where when you pitch your own clients, your odds of getting that are like 1 in 2, because like they're not looking at any other writers. They either need you or they don't need you, and they like you. And just want to encourage people to not apply for jobs all day and get no results. And just I've heard from way too many writers where that's their scene. Like, I'm not having any luck applying for jobs. That's because A, this is not a luck-based business. And B, applying for jobs is not how freelance writers build thriving, sustainable, lucrative businesses. That's not how we work. And the bigger picture answer is wherever you're at, okay, you haven't been a full-time staff writer and other people have, wherever you're at in your career, there's somebody who needs you at your level. They need your person. Just speaking as a college dropout who has held 2 staff jobs that required a BA in journalism, you know, just don't get a complex about, oh, I'm not as qualified as other people. We're getting back into that like content mill mentality stuff. Don't do that.
Brenda said, I just graduated with a degree in English, so talking about college already. Most job descriptions require more experience than I have writing. How can I start?
Yeah, stop looking at those jobs that have job descriptions. And if you need to look at them, remember that their description of what you need to be is all lies. And let me tell you how I got my first staff writer job. I had been writing for an alternative paper about like protests in the street. I applied to be a writer for a home improvement retail trade publication. And they gave me a writing test along with about 30 other people, and they hired me. And years later, I actually asked my editor, this is a publication that exclusively hires graduates from Medill, you know, which is after Columbia, the #2 journalism school. They're all about Medill. They hire everyone from Medill. And I was just like, John, why did you hire me? Like, I wasn't a Medill grad. I wasn't anywhere like anything close to that. And he said, you wrote the only article we could run in the paper. You can write your way in the door of this career if you are a strong writer, okay? Try and not get hung up on I have a degree in nothing from nowhere. You got an English degree, you know, Somebody's going to be like, oh, that's good. You know, there's a fit for you somewhere in the marketplace, and you have to get out and start finding it.
Betty said, and I know you will love this question, I would love to do a blog. I've heard so many positive things about them. However, I'm so clueless about the topic. Since I'm not hot about one thing, don't do it. What's a good way to discover the thing I should blog or write about?
Well, so if you want resources on this question, I have a whole planet called smallblogbigincome.com, where you can find everything I know about building a blog that earns and how I did it, step by step, everything I did, why I launched the den, how I launched the den. It's all unpacked in 2 ebooks and huge workbooks that come with them. And there are 7 steps to having a blog that is productive in any way. And I know we're at the top of the hour, and yes, I'm willing to keep going with questions. And if people have to go, join the den, it's open. Join it while it's open. It's only a few days. If you need this kind of help, we would like to help you. And so my first ebook outlines a 7-step process for launching a blog that is useful in your life, whether it's to be a blog that you monetize like with ads or whatever, or it's a blog that you're creating to be a sample that gets you freelance writing clients. And the first question you have to answer is, why am I starting this blog? So you didn't give us your why. I don't know if you want to do it for a sample or because you have something to monetize. Okay, we'll mute some more. See if that helps us. All right, am I back on your screen?
You are.
Okay, cool. So yeah, when you have no topic you are hot to blog about, for God's sake, don't start a blog. You are just completely wasting your time. So and most freelance writers who are running a blog are wasting their times because they don't know why they're doing it, except they were told it would be a good sample and it'd be really great. I think the days when starting a blog to promote your blogging services was really great are ended about a decade ago. And honestly, if you want to get some good blog samples, guest on some really big popular blogs and link back to your LinkedIn or your writer website, and you're going to get more attention and more client leads. The only way your blog helps you is if your blog is successful. And the only way it's going to be successful is on a focused niche topic and you're marketing the heck out of it. And doing all that is a full-time job. Ask me how I know. And doing that and doing other things to build a freelance writing business is really difficult. You're giving yourself like a long to-do list. It was like the other person who said, how can I blog every day? Yeah, don't blog every day. So Luca, in my question, says, is it fine to send clients links from different websites I've written for? Once again, you don't need my permission. You can send it if you want. And yeah, that is what we typically, many of us do, is we just send links to our work to people. So what's your next one? I think I maybe caught up to you now. I think you came in and it doesn't show you the ones before you came in. Because now I have when you cold pitch and the one you read first, I think from Aurora.
Okay, yeah.
So now the man in the high castle dual realities is finally over.
So
okay.
I'm up to Kathy now, who says, a coach from another group suggested that I focus on personal finance and real estate professionals as a niche, so promoting them to their markets. I'm looking for tips on assessing this market as a fit and targeting that niche.
I'm sorry, what's the market?
Personal finance and real estate professionals.
Oh boy. I actually have a graduate, just graduating out in my Den 2X coaching, and she wanted to do personal finance, and she's like the only student who has not gotten clients, who was out marketing. Personal finance, it's like, what are you going to do? You're going to write for Pop Wallet for $50 a post or something? We don't know where the big money is in that. I mean, maybe if you got in with a personal finance guru who's really huge, the Susie Ormans of the world, and you got on their team as a contractor, but there's not a lot of opportunity. Except in the high end, in the wealth management, wealthy people, personal finance. is that. And then real estate, I just have never heard of anybody. They just don't use us. One of the big things we talk about in the den is, does your market have money? And then do they use content? Do they need writers? Do they do our kind of marketing? And the thing is, realtors don't. You've read their flyers with all the typos. They don't care about written content at all. And these days, it's all virtual 360 visual tours of houses, going on. I don't know where the money is in that market, except very upscale commercial property management, maybe commercial realtors. The big commercial realty brokerages, I think they do big white papers and like they do thought leadership. So you'd have to go very high up the end of that to, I think, get much of anywhere.
Yeah, and I will say that Kathy did also mention that she joined the den. So Kathy, I suggest you go to our Get Your First Freelance Jobs bootcamp, because we have a whole worksheet on how to pick a good niche in there.
Yeah, all these people are joining. I'm joining. So hey, I just can't believe no one has any questions for Sheila, Mary, or Belinda, who's there in the car with her triplets, or Paul. But I think Paul was talking about contacting somebody. I don't know if the three of you are willing to let people email you who are on the call if they have questions about what it's like to be a member. If so, pop it in there.
Yep, Belinda actually had to leave, but she did leave me her email address, so I will
Okay,
pop
cool.
that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's lots of stories on the Den homepage, and there's a link to a longer testimonial page, and there's lots of member stories you can see. But I think, if you have particular questions about whether this is worth your $25, it's not a big commitment here that we're asking you to make. And if you need it, I hope you'll hop in. I see a whole bunch of people I know who are already in the Den on this call, and any of them will be happy to talk with you about it. I kind of want to look around and see who else is on this call that I already know, but definitely some new folks, which is awesome. And yeah, I'll just throw it to people. If some people were thinking, I don't know, the Den sounds too newbie writer for me, or is it just for the US? No, it isn't. We have a very international membership. And I'd just say if you're a mid-career writer and you're like dead serious about doubling your income or more in the coming months, Angie, I'll throw in the link for my coaching because it is happening right now. But it is a major investment. It's for people who are like ready to make a very serious investment in their business. Totally different scene, and it's very limited number of people, where the Den is like, our moderators are standing by for however many of you want to hop in the next few days and add to our membership. I don't know. I think we've done it. I was afraid it would go on for hours.
I do still have questions.
You still have a few questions? Go. I'm good.
Tyrell said, are people pitching print or websites nowadays? Obviously, most print is moving to web content.
I don't know what people are doing because I have not talked to all the people. You said, this is like my son will say, nobody believes that. And I'm like, yeah, so you've polled everyone in the universe and nobody said yes. I don't know what everyone on earth is doing. We have many sort of displaced journalists in the Den who are looking at getting into better publications and getting into writing online more, I'd say. And yeah, there's just a ton of opportunity in writing online. And more publications are developing content for online. And what you see going on is that that the print used to pay a lot and the website used to pay like this, and over time it's going to go like this. So a lot of people are getting hip to that. I had that experience writing for Entrepreneur. I was getting a couple grand a month for months and months and months writing for print for Entrepreneur. And then, big shakeup, everything changed. And I ended up getting in touch with their blog editor. I ended up earning so much more money blogging for them, and so much more reliably, with no endless approval process for each pitch. Just like I had the publish button, it was like, here's my stuff. They were like, great. So I'm a fan of looking at online. I see people finding just oodles of opportunity in, we are in the age of content marketing. It's our time. There's never been a better time to be a freelance writer, especially if you don't like the sell. You're not one of those people who want to write direct response and, sales letters that go in the mail. which is me. I've never written salesy stuff for anybody. Everything I've earned has been informational content, you know, just web pages that explain a service or explain a thing, or white papers or case studies, ebooks. And in case you haven't noticed, people don't like being sold anymore, right? We all want to be on Netflix with no commercials, and like, we don't like ads anymore. We don't like being hard sold anything. And that's why blogging and content marketing exists now. We want useful information for me, please. And maybe there's a link at the end of something, and maybe I'm interested in buying that thing or not, but I don't have to. I just get the useful goodies, you know? And so it's like, if you can tell a story, if you can organize thoughts, if you do good interviews, there's so much opportunity for you on either side of this.
Beth said, I would like your best tips to write faster. I'm writing a lot of 1,000 to 1,500 word articles, and depending on the industry, they can take easily 4 to 6 hours.
What are they paying for this 4 to 6 hours? I want the answer to be a minimum of $300 if you're wondering what you should be getting paid to write 1,000-word posts. Like, under about $300, if it's taking you 4 to 6 hours, that is not making any sense, and it's not going to pencil out for you. Answering a question about if you're interested in Den 2X Income Accelerator, go look at the Join Den 2X page and read all the details and apply, and we will talk about it.
All right, so Eileen said, is it appropriate for a rookie to include achievements in the niche in order to build credibility, for example, awards and speaking engagements?
Anything you have. We all pitch with what we got, is what I learned from my grandma, is we all go with what we got. So if what you've got is that you used to work in this industry and stuff, then that's what you're going to sell them on. Yeah.
Eugene said, would you say that focusing specifically on a certain niche or being general would be better, since if you get a certain niche, there might not be many opportunities?
Well, if you get a certain niche that we know there's money in, that won't be a problem. My joke about generalists versus niching is, as soon as I meet a generalist who's earning really well, I'll start telling people to be generalists, except that in whatever 14,000 Den members, I haven't really met any, because being a generalist is horrible. And the reason it's horrible is because you can't market it. I mean, the reality is all of us can be generalists and are. Like, if I get some random customer who wants me to do something and it isn't in the scope of what I'm marketing myself as right now, I still do it. I just onboarded a Big Four accounting firm as a client. I'm not marketing myself as a finance writer right in this moment. It's actually HR, their HR division. But I'm not out there marketing myself as an HR person, but like I'm like, sure, I'm in. You know, they pay over $1 a word. Like I'm like, I love this kind of stuff. I'm a total business dork. And I'm marketing that I want to ghost books at the moment. You know, the thing is that you need a thing you can market. And if you can't decide where you're going to put your marketing energy, you can never make your career progress. It never gets better because you don't acquire expertise, and it doesn't get easier to get better paying jobs. So what we do is decide on a couple, 3 niches that we think are your most likely areas where there is good money. And at this point, we have a pretty strong sense around the Den of where there's money and not, as you saw with that, should I get into personal finance and real estate question. And then we market that. You'll get other people, you know, will come along and you could write other stuff, and maybe it'll lead to a new niche where you go, I liked that random thing over there. I'm going to do more of that. But it's just very hard to say, I'm a freelance writer. Do you need a freelance writer? The thing is, if you think like a client, the thing is that no one is looking for a freelance writer. They're looking for a freelance automotive writer, like Neil, who I see listening in from Thailand. And, or they need a freelance healthcare writer, or someone with medical device experience, or biotech, or, you know, who can technical write their manual for coders. They need something very specific, and they want someone they don't have to teach it to. Their industry. They don't have the time to educate you about what goes on in the world of insurance, you know. So that's why we market by niches.
Lorraine said, what's your opinion of portfolio sites like writerswork.com instead of building your own website? And how would you address a portfolio that is old because your recent work is corporate based and can't be posted or shared?
Well, when you have clips you can't share and you need to freshen up your portfolio, your job is to freshen up your portfolio. Go out and do a couple of pro bono things that you can claim so that you have something. The downside, I'm not a fan at all of being on Writer's Work or Contently or something with your portfolio. I'm a big non-fan because the thing is, the point of those platforms is for people to browse through many portfolios. It's easier for them to move on to more portfolios than it is to find your contacts on Contently. And that's the problem, is you're kind of back in the Upwork world of being cross-compared with thousands of other writers easily, where when you have your website, you are controlling their experience. You've got them where you want them. No one else is there. It's just you and them. And you can talk to them in your copy like a person and help them understand that you're brilliant, Carol, and that you're going to love working with me. You can't do that on one of these mass portfolio sites. So it's better than nothing. If that's what you can afford and you're on there, it's better than having no thing. But like, consider putting a few of your clips into your LinkedIn summary and having it serve out of there where you can really tell your story in a really compelling way. There's no pitch. There's nowhere for you to sell them. There's no place for copy where you talk to them. It's just, here's my portfolio. So that obviously doesn't convert as well as, and doesn't look as pro.
Teresa said, I'm interested in acquiring ghostwriting clients. Is the Den the place for me?
Well, I think all the writing we do for businesses is ghostwriting. Probably most of what we have in the Den would relate to ghostwriting. And we also have the nation's top book ghostwriting coach, Claudia Suzanne, and her boot camp. She's the only person who has a university course in book ghosting, and we got her to create us a kind of mini version of it that is the only thing you can get for under, I think it's $3,000 or something, her course, her university course.
Beth said, when you're still pretty new, how many niches would you limit yourself to in terms of specialization?
I like 2 to 3. I think beyond there, it gets hard, it gets unwieldy to market it. You know, I'm a freelance finance, legal, insurance, you know, retail, restaurant, franchising writer. It just gets, what are you going to say at a networking meeting? It just gets harder and harder the more you add. I like not one because I like people to be diverse because downturn and industries have cycles, and so I don't like people to be all in on just one. And the exception to that is healthcare, because there's like so many niches within it that you can kind of be diverse and it's still all somewhere in health, I'd say.
Steven said, I have samples from my freelance writing 12 years old. Should I hide the date from possible clients?
If there's an easy way to do that, but clients don't actually care how old clips are. They just want to read our work and hire us. I have never had, I've actually heard one case recently of someone who said, your clips are old, so I'm not considering you for this. In general, no one asks, no one cares. Just doesn't matter.
No.
What matters is you have good writing you can show people.
Apologies, I got lost.
That's
here.
okay. I'll take one while you're looking, because this person who came over as NKV says, my writing is more formal and academic in style, and there's niches that need to be informal and conversational, like blogs. What do you suggest I do? I have coached a million former academics, and it is a huge, huge challenge. Transitioning from the formal, I'm footnoting my academic paper kind of style to the style that business moves in today, which I always sum up as like when something goes wrong on my MailChimp, I get an email from them and what it says is EEP. Like business is so kind of conversational and casual now. I don't know, you know, go to cafes and talk to people, talk through what you're going to write about and like record it and see how you talk about it. Because that's what you want to write down. You have to stop composing and start writing like you're talking. That's blogging. Blogging is like, I think of my Make a Living Writing blog readers like they're sitting there talking to me and we're having a tea at a coffee shop, you know? And And that is the speed business moves at now. I'm hard pressed. I gather in the UK, it's still a little bit more formal-ish than in the US, in North America, but it's pretty dang casual out there. So it is a major challenge that all people who have spent decent time in academia have to grapple with and have to overcome. I'd say, you know, post writing samples, get a writing buddy that you can work on it with in the den. You know, you need accountability. Need a person you're calling every week saying, hey, are you doing that thing? Did you write something? Can I see it? You know, that is what the magic is you've got to stop trying to do it all alone.
Cheyenne said, my idea to get work and more experience writing was to go to Fiverr, and then as I got more experience, go on Upwork. Listening to this now, if these platforms are not ideal, where should I go to look for freelance writing jobs?
What you're going to do is you're going to learn to qualify and pitch your own clients. We will teach you how. It is not that hard. You have to stop thinking that, oh, I'm going to work my way up from Fiverr to Upwork. I want to cry. I just want to cry. That is not going to be a way to build a business at all. Everyone has to stop thinking that the luck fairy is leaving them an amazing job on an Upwork dashboard, because it's not. That's not happening. Like, there are maybe 5 super outliers who are getting good gigs on Upwork, and everyone else reports they are starving. There's actually number data recently that like 97% or something, 93% of all the writers on Upwork have never earned $1. Just, it's an illusion that these places provide a living. It's about replacing that mentality with the understanding that like you are building a business like any other business out there. And it doesn't happen by applying to jobs. It's not just automatic. You are going to have to proactively make it happen by finding your own clients. And our Den resources teach you how to do that. I feel like we should wrap. Do we have a lot more questions?
I have one more.
Okay, perfect.
Wendy said, do you see significant differences in the ability of international members to use the resources, or are the Den resources focused toward US opportunities?
Okay, so we have a very international membership, and we have a non-US writers forum if you'd like to commiss with people about the difficulties of collecting money from other countries and pitching into other countries than the one you're in and stuff. And everything we teach about marketing and about types of writing that businesses use is applicable in every country and in every language, just to say. There isn't radical differences in how to get clients and what content marketing types businesses use to market themselves. It's all the same stuff. And if you're asking, you know, will I never be able to get any US clients if I'm based outside the US? The answer is no. And this is a global business and our clients are everywhere. As Neil, who's on this call, can tell you, he's based in Thailand and he has clients everywhere. I'm based in the US and I've had clients in Germany and New Zealand and everywhere, Canada, all over. So I think we should wrap up. I just want to thank Paul and Sheila Mary and Belinda for coming on, and I'm bummed that no one had any questions for them. And yeah, NKB, there's not books about conversational writing. Start writing conversationally and getting feedback, and keep writing in a conversational style. I love when people say, are there books on how to do X? If I thought books were the answer, I'd be writing books and not running a platform that's interactive where you can get answers from working pro writers. That is what I think is going to help you. Do you have courses on writing contracts for working with our clients? Yeah, we have contracts. We have templates galore. All right, I'm going to go. The Den is open, people. Come on down if you need help as a freelance writer. Steve, I appreciate all the thumbs ups. I could really use the positivity. It's been like an insane week getting ready for the Den to be open. And, ooh, you know, one new Den feature that I'll just end with is we're starting live water cooler chat. We're beta testing it right now. So like once a week, people can come on and talk to each other. And I think that's going to be really awesome. So see you all there. Thank you, Angie. Thank you to Paul and Sherilyn and Sheila Mary and Belinda and everyone who came on.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.